Metal Gear Solid. It's a video game series about people pissing themselves, being pissed on,
Go in my pants.
shitting in barrels, and watching the horses do the poopy. It's also one of the finest video game series ever made, both in gameplay and story. Now look, I love the Metal Gear Solid storyline, but it, does get bogged down with a lot, and I do mean a lot of exposition. Oh, an hour of cutscenes.
Am I going to die?
Yeah, maybe. Now these games are full of diatribes about systems of control, elucidations on the role technology plays within our societies, and grown men having issues with their bowels on the battlefield. I get that. I feel that pain, man. I feel that pain. Metal Gear Solid has these big philosophical ideas at play, but when I think back to my time spent playing this series, it's not what I remember fondly. Oh, I'm all about that drama. That's the stuff that's stuck in my mind all of these years. Naked Snake having to complete his final mission, Solid Snake and Liquid Ocelot having their final fisticuffs, and of course, sexy vampires. Oh, there's a lot of weird stuff in these games, man. And out of the many cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid's storyline, I think there is a perfect line of dialogue. One so poignant that it's not only a defining moment of the game it's from, but it's also relevant to every Metal Gear Solid, spanning across the entire series.
Snake, we're not tools of the government or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at. But at least I always fought for what I believed in.
Grey Fox's last line of dialogue highlights a key ideological stance for many of the characters in Metal Gear Solid. And you know what? It does this without being a gigantic exposition dump, unlike President Johnson.
I'm not surprised you've never heard of them.
All I've been told is that every key decision is made by a group of 12 men, known as the Wise Men,
merely because
This line of dialogue is serving multiple purposes. On the one hand, it's exploring the themes of the game through Grey Fox as a character, the character of a suicidally deranged cyborg ninja. And on the other hand, Grey Fox is saying a farewell to one of his closest friends in a moment of intense drama.
Snake, farewell.
Right before he gets turned into meat chalk.
I wet my pants.
Grey Fox getting squished is very dramatic, and that's because we've grown to care about him over the course of the game, learning about his tragic past, and most importantly, the guilt Solid Snake feels for the role he played in turning one of his closest friends into a loony robot man who calls himself Deep Throat.
Who are you? Just call me Deep Throat. Deep Throat.
This robo-pervert has us deeply invested in his last line of dialogue, because we care about Grey Fox, we care about the drama. We pay more attention to what he's saying, and the themes of his message speak louder than any 2-hour-long cutscene ever could. So the placement of this line is perfect, and so too is its length. It's short, sweet, and to the point. Truly excellent storytelling and script writing, because not only does this get the old noodle thinking about the meaning of Grey Fox's last line of dialogue, we're still playing a video game, and seeing our best friend turned into a cybernetic meat patty has just fucking done it. Oh, it's game time, you poncy British sack of shit! That's what makes this a defining moment of Metal Gear Solid. It's emotive, thematic, and it gears the player up for the gameplay ahead. So, let's explore why this line of dialogue is so important to the entire Metal Gear series. Firstly, it perfectly sums up one of the main themes of the series: freedom.
Free from the system, free from ID control. Our minds free from their prisons.
Freedom from systems of control is a central conflict for many of the characters in Metal Gear Solid. That theme is applicable to almost all of our protagonists, especially this hot boy right here. Delicious, yes please. But for me, what sets this line of dialogue apart from one similar is how surprisingly relevant it is to the antagonists of the series. Like, seriously, they are all about freedom. Freedom this, control that.
Control.
Freedom.
Control.
Free control. Freedom. Am I going to die?
So the villains are typically outside of a system of control. They are not tools of the government or anyone else. They are usually ex-special forces, so fighting was the only thing they were ever good at. Except Solidus. I mean, this dude straight up was the goddamn president of the United States, and now he's Mr. Buff Terrorist Man. Sweet lord. And these hot bad boys are fighting for what they believe in. And I gotta admit, I'm seeing eye to eye with a lot of their beliefs. They do make excellent points. And the only thing that sets these villains apart from our heroes is the way in which they achieve their goals. Because, I mean, unleashing a horny murderous vampire man on people? It's a bit much. That's a tad too far there. Okay, let's talk about the goodies. Grey Fox was speaking directly to our main good boy, Solid Snake. And his message clearly resonates with our hero, even if he's a thundering dumbass and is manipulated by systems of control again,
Fox die. It can't be.
and again, and again. But this dim-witted fool and his team of pant-pissing and keck-cacking comrades managed to free the world from dangerous systems of control. But in an ironic twist, the protagonists ended up having the exact same goal as the villains. Again, the difference between them being the way in which they achieved their goals. Bad guys, sexy vampires. Good guys, heroic vomiting. Another distinct difference between the two groups is when do they put this ideology into practice. The villains of the series are already living by Grey Fox's message. They're committing war crimes, starting military insurrections, and generally being a little bit naughty. But I think the genius of Hideo Kojima's storytelling comes from letting us, the gamer, vicariously experience the stages of Grey Fox's ideology by making us play as Solid Snake, Raiden, and Big Boss, as they go through a similar journey, from tools of the government to freedom fighters. Solid Snake and Raiden are both very similar. They fought for the government or systems of control, but they were never villainous in their methods, and through the betrayals and the loss, our protagonists grow as characters, and they are transformed into selfless heroes who fight for what they believe in. The main difference between Snake and Raiden is that Snake is a badass, and Raiden is a nudist gimp. Big Boss is very interesting. He fought for the government, and in his own struggle to fight for what he believed in, he ends up becoming a villain. His path led to those extreme methods that would threaten to roll over the world and upset peace and prosperity. A tool of the government, turned hero, turned villain. Vamp is none of these things.
He's Romanian, a wizard with knives, as you saw.
And a serious sex offender. Whoa, Nelly! What a fun and needlessly complex look into one line of dialogue that was probably written because it sounded cool. Well, I do think that it is a perfect line of dialogue, because it suits the drama of the moment, and it's quite intelligent in that it makes you question the themes of Metal Gear Solid, and of the future installments of the series, long after it was spoken. It's applicable to many of the characters in many different ways, and to achieve that level of storytelling from one line of dialogue truly makes me believe that Hideo Kojima is a genius, even if he does write a lot of insane gibberish.
But I live on through this arm!
The Metal Gear Solid games will always hold a very special place in my heart. And if you haven't played them in a while, now might be the time to boot up your old consoles and relive the saga one more time.
There's something my best friend said to me once. We're not tools of the government, or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at, but at least I always fought for what I believed in.